In this video we're going to look at how to draw a cumulative frequency graph, but we're going to start off with just looking at some grouped data that we have in front of us and asking a series of less than questions. Let's have a look at the data to begin with. We've got the weights of stones in a quarry, and the table tells us that the weight of stones between 8 and up to and including 10 kilograms, there are 3 stones in that category, so 3 stones with a weight of between 8 and 10 kilograms. We can also see that there are 17 stones in the next category, so 17 stones which weigh between 10 and 12 kilograms. 13 of the stones weigh between 12 and 13 kilograms, etc. So this kind of data is called grouped data, and it's because the stones have been sorted into 5 separate groups. And I want you to imagine that you were asked how many stones in this quarry were less than or equal to 10 kilograms. I hope that you could see from this data that the answer is 3, because this category has all the stones which are less than or equal to 10 kilograms. They're between 8 and 10, and there are 3 stones in that category. All the other stones here are more than 10 kilograms. 10 to 12, more than 10. All of these ones, more than 10 kilograms. So if I asked you the question, how many stones are less than 2 or equal to 10 kilograms, the answer is 3. What about if I asked you how many stones are less than or equal to 12 kilograms? Well, some people might be able to see that it's 17 here, because these 17 stones are between 10 and 12. But also, crucially, you need to include these ones in the previous group because they're lighter. They are between 8 and 10 kilograms. So my question was, how many stones are less than 12 kilograms? And you'd have to include both of those groups in your answer. Your answer would have to be 20. Now, some people have a bit of difficulty sort of seeing that from a table, so I've sort of drawn out a little diagram here. And this diagram represents the number of stones in different skips in the quarry. So let's imagine, I don't know, you work in the quarry, you've been asked to sort the stones into the different size skips, and these are the 5 skips that you've been given. You've sorted the stones and you found out how many are in each skip. So if I say to you, how many stones are less than 10 kilograms, I'm going to drop the or equal to. Okay, I know that some of these could be equal to 10 kilograms, but just to speed things up, I'm going to say less than 10 kilograms. We would say that the answer is 3. It's those ones in that skip there. If I said how many of the stones are less than 12 kilograms, you'd have to look in this skip here and this skip here. Both of those added up. You'd have to have the 3 stones in the very light skip and include these ones here, because these ones are up to 12 kilograms. So you get the answer 20. Similarly, if I said how many of the stones are less than 13 kilograms, you'd have to count these ones here, plus these ones here, up to and including these ones here. So we've got the first 3, the 17 from the next skip, and the 13 from the third skip. Now these numbers that I'm calculating, this 3, 20, 33, these are cumulative frequencies. So although I haven't mentioned that word yet, that's exactly what we're calculating, the cumulative frequencies. And cumulative frequency means a running total. So if I count the first skip, how many have I got? I've got 3. If I count the first 2 skips, how many have I got? It's 20. The first 3, 33. It's a running total, counting them up as you go along. If I asked how many are less than 14 kilograms, we'd have to add up and include these ones in this skip here, which makes 52. And the ones in the last skip, so if I said how many of the stones in the quarry are less than 18 kilograms, you'd have to add them all up. Well, we know up to here is 52, and then there's another 8, which takes us up to 60, and 60 would be the total number of stones that are sorted into these different skips here. So we need to take these numbers, these are our cumulative frequencies, and what we're going to be doing is drawing a cumulative frequency graph to represent them. Let's go back to the original data that I had, which looked a little bit something like this. Okay, and the cumulative frequencies that we've worked out, I've now included here. So remember, this number is the number of stones less than or equal to 10 kilograms, and this number here is the number of stones which are less than or equal to 12, and that includes the first two groups, so 3 plus 17. And a quick way to work out your cumulative frequency, like I said earlier, this is a running total. So if you start with the 3, then you add on the next one, which is 20, then you add on the next one, you'll get to 33, add on the next one, you'll get to 52, add on the last one, you'll get to 60. So the cumulative frequency is done by taking the first frequency, adding on the second frequency, adding on the third frequency, adding on the fourth frequency and the fifth frequency, and getting to that total. How do we draw a cumulative frequency graph now of this? Well, we need to plot these numbers along on the x-axis, if you like, and these numbers up on the y-axis, and we plot them as little crosses, and then we're going to join those up. So let's have a look. Here's some axes I prepared earlier. You do need to be prepared to draw your own axes, and some people do find that difficult, so just make sure that you can. Now, our first cumulative frequency has to be drawn at 10 along and 3 up, which is here. Our next cumulative frequency has to be drawn at 12 along and 20 up, which is here. The next one, 13 along and 33 up, and that's 32, 33, trying to be as accurate as you can, up to 14 kilograms. Remember that this number represents how many stones were up to that value, so up to 14 kilograms we had 52 stones. 52 of the stones in the quarry were up to 14 kilograms, and the last one, up to 18 kilograms, there were 60 stones, which looks, oh, I'm having a bit of trouble with my lines there. Okay, now this is now a cumulative frequency graph that represents this data we've plotted along the upper limit of the weight and up the cumulative frequency. So there are two ways that you can join these points up. You can join them up with straight lines, or you can join them up with a curve. Now often a curve is mathematically better, but at the moment exam boards are accepting straight lines, so you could get a ruler and just join these up like dot to dot. I'm going to have a go at drawing a curve, and here we go. It's often the case that when you draw these curves you get a sort of S shape like that. Now it's interesting at the bottom here, this is a bit of a technicality, but if you think about the data that we had, here it was, we can ask another question: how many stones were less than 8 kilograms? And the answer is none. There are none on the table. So if you want to bring your curve down to anywhere, it should come down to 0 at the 8 point. And that's a cumulative frequency curve. And we just need to label the sides, so cumulative frequency, and this was the weight in kilograms of some stones in the quarry, and it's done. Okay, let's have a look at how you might come across this sort of question in an exam situation. It says the table shows information about the speeds of 100 lorries. We're given some group data, we're given a place to plot our cumulative frequency graph. So there's a really quick way to do it. You don't need to bother adding 2 extra columns. We know that we're going to plot our points using these coordinates, and all we need to do is find the cumulative frequency so that we can know how far up to plot the crosses. The cumulative frequency always starts with the first one and then just add on the next one. 2 plus 9, 11. 11 plus 23, 34. 34 plus 31, 65, plus 27 makes 92, and then add on the 8 makes 100. It's always nice when they tell you how many things they're talking about. They're talking about 100 lorries, because you can check your cumulative frequency has got to the total there. So we're using these sets of numbers and these sets of numbers. You can almost cross those out now, we don't need those. And what we need to do is go 20 along, 2 up, which is there. Can't see that, there we go. And then we need to go 40 along and 11 up. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. 60 along, 34 up. So here we've got 60, 20, 34. 80 along, 65 up. 60 is there, 2, 4, 5. 100 along and 92 up. So these grids can get a bit confusing. Don't be afraid to get out your ruler and actually place it on here to check that you are getting the lines lined up. I wanted 92. I think I've been pretty exact there. And then the last one, 120, takes us up to our total, 100. So I've plotted the points. I just need to now join them up with a smooth curve, or as I say, you can use a ruler to join these up dot to dot. And if you remember, there were no lorries which were travelling in the under 0 degrees centigrade. Kilometers per hour. I don't know what degrees centigrade is about. This is now our cumulative frequency curve, and it's labelled, and so everything is hunky-dory.